Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Coffee Break, presented by Bath Fitter. As we're waiting for the frenzy to begin, that is illegal tampering for free agency. Happy Monday, everybody. James Marilat, D-Mac, Rachel Vila, hanging with you for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Like I said, gentlemen, I was waiting for the big bomb to drop at 10:01 here in the Mountain Time Zone, and I feel like there's been nothing. The biggest news I feel like is Austin Eckler wanting to peace out from the Chargers. How are you this morning?
I think it's the NFL letting everybody know, hey, you're not supposed to have been doing work and negotiating and putting deals together with guys prior to today. So if we release news at 10:01, it's kind of obvious you were breaking the rules. So let's just pump the brakes a little bit. You'll see a frenzy. Just wait. It'll be like at 11. So we all are going to fall for the fact that all of it happened in an hour. That's what I think is going on here. They're trying to make it look like they're following the rules, even though we know that none of them are.
You know, some big dominoes do have to fall, and the biggest one probably is the Aaron Rodgers deal, and a lot of things may fall after that. Some teams are sort of waiting for things like that to move, and I don't know what the other big ones are with the Broncos. Shelby Harris got.
True.
You guys want Shelby Harris back?
No.
Yeah.
Me neither.
No.
Okay, moving on.
No. I mean, just a guy. Talk about a guy that got paid off of a very random skill set of being able to bat down balls, which means you're not getting off the line. Right? You're not getting any penetration into the backfield. You're just getting stoned at the line of scrimmage. But he's got quick hands. I'll give him that.
He had an amazing ability to get knocked backwards and put his hands up.
Yeah.
And,
no, I'm good.
He got paid millions of dollars for that.
Yeah. He's also one of those guys. I don't think he's a great locker room guy. He's always a complainer.
No.
So nope, I'll pass.
Yeah, me too.
I'm with you. I love how Nick says, "Thank God James is in here to go off on Malone." We're gonna get talk here in a little bit too.
When do we do the victory parade?
We're ready.
Victory parade.
I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not. That's the problem. Is I am right about Michael Malone, and that is bad news for the Nuggets.
Ooh, you guys, like I said, we're going to get into it, but it is not looking good for the Nuggets right now. But I'm trying to just remain calm, remain patient, trust the process. I know not a lot of people are happy about that, but I do love also would Eckler to the Broncos make sense? Joe Lombardi was his OC. How do you all feel about Austin Eckler, James?
I mean, he's a great player.
Yeah.
Would he upgrade the running back position in Denver? Of course. I just don't think that's a position they should spend money on in free agency. I think that's a position they could use one of those third-round picks, 67 or 68, get their Alvin Kamara type guy who can come in, start as a rookie, and contribute. So I think left guard and running back you address via the draft. Okay. I think every other position in need, right tackle, defensive line, edge rusher, whatever the case may be, that's where you got to go spend money. So, no, I would not be interested. I mean, I'd be interested in Austin Eckler, but not for what you'd have to give up and what you'd have to spend. I'd have to be out if I'm George Paton.
I got to agree with James on this one. It's one thing to love having a guy on the team because who wouldn't love the things that he brings, but what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
And, listen, I'm not opposed to get a running back in free agency. But that's like one of those positions that you wait on. Like you never, ever, ever. I mean, unless you're insane and you want to go for one of the top guys, but the three top guys are gone. Tony Pollard and Josh Jacobs and help me. Saquon Barkley. They're all gone.
Yeah.
So, you just wait. You just wait on that. You see how it plays out. No rush on running backs.
The last time the Broncos signed a free agent Chargers running back, it didn't turn out so well with Melvin Gordon.
No, but listen, if you remember that, he was the last player they picked up in free agency. Like, they did wait on him. And so I never really had a problem with the money because it's not like the money was going elsewhere. They just had that money. So you could be critical of them for not spending their money in a better fashion, but it was kind of a use it or lose it sort of situation with Melvin. So I never really cared about that. We did not get somebody else. But there are other deeper issues, obviously, with Melvin Gordon. But the money really was not that big of a deal.
It is crazy to think of the downfall of Melvin Gordon. Like, he was the man with the Chargers so long ago, and just to be where he ended up posting about winning a Lombardi trophy when he didn't even take the field, that's like kind of crazy to think about, the longevity.
All right, but hold on. The running back position is the least valued position of all the core positions in football. Mm-hmm. It has the lowest number in terms of tag value, and it has the shortest overall career length. You just got to be smarter with that. So the one thing you can't do as a running back is fumble the football. I mean, that's it, the end. And even 3 fumbles a year is too many for a running back. You just can't do it. The skill set that you have to have isn't really breaking for 60-yard touchdowns. Guys, the real skill set is seriously the strength and ability to hold on to that football no matter what. All these guys are kind of the same, bowling ball sort of set. They're all sort of this 5'10", 225 sort of deal. Melvin was actually a little bit bigger. What separates great running backs really is the ability to take contact and hold on to the football. If you can't do that, you're worthless as a running back.
Well, you make a really good point, because his first 2 years as a Bronco, he had double-digit touchdowns. Like, on bad offenses, on teams that didn't score a lot of touchdowns, he gets into the end zone 10 times, but nobody remembers that. Nobody talks about that. Nobody thinks about it. It's the fact that he couldn't hold on to the football. So you're right. That is job number one at that position, and he failed miserably at it. But no, Rachel, back to your question with Austin Ekeler. It's a pass on running back. Broncos get too many other needs. Right tackle, defensive line are at the top of the list for me.
Where do we think Draymond Jones is going to land? Oh, okay. Just kidding. Here comes Jake. What do we got, Jake?
We have a small breaking news bit. Calais Campbell has just been released by the Baltimore Ravens. 36-year-old towards the end of his career, but Denver native, went to South High School.
Okay.
Wow.
Good to know. Interesting. Would he return home?
That's like a 1-year contract, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Probably 9 or 10 million. That's like a DeMarcus Ware sort of guy. Mm-hmm. So, guys, man, I hate to beat a dead horse here. Well, maybe I don't hate it, but are we in a championship window with Russ or not?
Yep.
Then go get Calais Campbell.
Yep.
There you go, James. There you go. That's your guy.
You don't spend that kind of money, give up that kind of draft capital for Russ and for Sean Payton, trade away a first-round pick to rebuild. You're in win now mode. So go
then Calais Campbell is your Neil Smith, DeMarcus Ware, 2-year guy who's probably gonna get injured a bunch, but could bring a lot of value like that. But that is a 2-year deal and a lot of money.
That's that news is the make me feel old today. Because I wrote a story on Calais Campbell when he was at South High School. Like, oh my gosh. Now he's the 36-year-old veteran that's getting released. That officially makes me feel old.
Oh. Interesting. D-Mac, are we in a championship window?
No, of course not.
I'm with you.
We have Russell Wilson. We are so far from it. But listen, this is the deal. If you think one thing, that there's a certain way to operate. If you think something else, there's another way to operate. So, but I'll tell you this: if you're in a championship window, you gotta go for it. But that does mean, like the Rams, in 2 years from now, you're gonna have to start over, okay? Mm-hmm. Or you start over now, and in 2 years you're in the playoffs. So, what exactly would you like it to be? Because even if you think you're in a championship window with Russ, how long do you think you're in a championship window? And the most important thing, props to our guy, Andrew Mason, DenverSports.com, who wrote about not spending big on free agency because next year, 5 days into the new league year, Russell Wilson's 2025 contract becomes guaranteed. And that is $55.4 million, which is gargantuan cash and huge on the cap. So you got to make up your minds, guys. And you really got to make up your mind next year.
The Broncos are going to tell us if they think they're in a championship window by what do, right? If they don't spend money, if they go cheap, they're going to be saying, hey, we're in the start over right now mode. But again, just keep Jerry Rosburg if you're in start over right now mode. Why in the heck would you give up a first-round pick to get Sean Payton and then go into rebuild mode? That makes no sense.
I don't know. I agree with you. I would have done an interim coach, dumped Russ, and started over. I would have tanked out for Caleb Williams, and we'd be in the playoffs in 3 years. And we would be not only in the playoffs in 3 years, but we would be having a chance to win for the next 15 years. I mean, that's what I would have done. But they've taken none of my advice.
Well, speaking of not taking advice, they're not taking my advice either because they're going to go sign a left guard. That's their first move, getting Ben Powers from the Ravens on a 4-year deal. So I think you can get a left guard in the draft. I don't think you can get a right tackle that's going to start year one with a third-round pick. I think you could have got a guard, but Broncos are off to the races.
Recap that deal then. That's brand new. What's up?
Rachel, do you have more info on it?
It is to a 4-year contract. Here we go, Jake.
Here he is.
Yeah, 4-year contract per source from Mike Kliss. He's from Wichita, Mike says. Closer to home, Sean Payton values guards in his offensive schemes. That's the initial report as of right now.
Ben Powers.
Ben Powers from the Ravens.
From the Ravens, because wasn't there another Ben from the Titans?
Yeah, that was the center.
Yeah. Ben. Been there, done that. Who cares?
Yeah.
Ben Jones?
Ben Jones.
Ben Jones. Good job, James.
No, that wasn't me.
Right.
That wasn't me. That was Blake. It's good to have a shadow here today.
Nice.
Great job, Blake.
He's feeding me
Ben
info.
So Ben Powers, who none of us have ever heard of,
Correct.
is better than Dalton Rising.
Correct.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
All right, DMAC, I want to highlight you really quickly because you had an article that ended up going viral this weekend because you said the Broncos should get rid of Pat Surtain II. Is that correct?
Well, get rid of is a strongly worded statement.
Okay.
The argument that I posed was, are we in a championship window or not? And that's the question you have to ask yourself. Do you believe in Russ, and are they in a championship window?
Mm-hmm.
Really, the headline of the article could have been, whatever you do, keep Patrick Surtain. Because I make the argument, if you believe in Russ and you're in the championship window, you would never get rid of him. Mm-hmm. Now, that could have been the title of the article. And I spent maybe, 2 sentences on that. The deeper dive is, what if you're not in a championship window? Mm-hmm. And if you're not, I look in a deep dive at why Jalen Ramsey was traded from the Jaguars to the Rams a few years ago. And just over the weekend, Rachel, did you notice Jalen Ramsey once again was traded from the Rams to the Dolphins? Yep. Why? Because neither team, the Jags or the Rams, saw themselves in a current championship window, and they needed to rebuild. Then you talk about value. Jalen Ramsey fetched 2 firsts and a 4th. This latest deal, he only got a 3rd and a tight end. So we could talk about whether or not the Broncos could have made a play for Jalen Ramsey. If we're really in a championship window, why the hell didn't the Broncos get in on the Jalen Ramsey deal? I mean, we could talk about that if you want. The most valuable compliment you can give any football player is that you've overperformed your actual standing at your position. Mm-hmm. So if you're taking number 9 overall, like Patrick Surtain was, does he have the same value as Jalen Ramsey did in 2019? If he does, Rachel, that is the type of ammo you can use to move up in the draft, as we just saw with the Carolina Panthers moving from 9-1 with the Chicago Bears. It's a compliment to Patrick Surtain that he has that value. And the reason why I would do it sooner than later, you can't go anywhere but down. He is regarded as the number 1 corner in complete health with 3 years left on his rookie contract. His value right now could not possibly be higher. Look at what Jalen Ramsey just went for. Still regarded as one of the top cornerbacks in the league. At age 28, he went for a 3rd and a tight end. Listen, I know this is harsh, and people are all about it because he's such a good player, but that's what I'm telling you. He is such a good player, and I don't believe Russ is the future, so I want to get Caleb Williams. I think the Broncos will win around 8 games. So in order to get Caleb Williams or Drake May, you got to move up, and you need ammo to do it. That's what you get with Patrick Surtain.
All right. I'm asking a question on our YouTube poll to see, essentially, are the Broncos in a win-now position? See what.
There you go.
I feel like
that's a better question. Do you think they're in a – well, hold on. Are they in a championship window with Russell Wilson? That's the question. And either the answer is yes or no. So if it's yes, like I said in the article, and again, you should blame James Maryland and Jake Shapiro, because the headline could have read, DMAC says, keep Russell Wilson, or keep Patrick Surtain if you're in a championship window. That could have been the headline. Of course, I wrote 9,000 words about it not being the scenario, and maybe 25 words about it being the scenario. So I understand the machinations of the headline. But it's not like I didn't account for keeping Patrick Surtain. I did, James.
Yeah, you did. You did. It's also, it's not easy to summarize 9,000 words in 50 characters. So we did our best. But listen, I actually like your premise, right? It's like, how do you maximize your best assets? Pat Surtain is arguably their most valuable asset. If you could get what the Jags got for Ramsey, 2 1s and a 4th, I'd trade him in a heartbeat because it's a luxury position. That's why I didn't like the pick at the time. Drafting a cornerback at number 9 is a luxury when you needed a quarterback, you needed a right tackle, you needed somebody to rush the passer, which Micah Parsons could have provided. Champ Bailey was a great cornerback. How many championships did he win? Darrelle Revis was a great cornerback. How many championships did he win? It's just one of those things, if you've got one, great, but I don't think it's a necessity to win a title. Who were the Chiefs corners this year?
Rookie, 4th-year guy, a couple of young guys. I mean, they did have their rookie, his name is escaping me, but he was a first-round draft pick. However, he was taken at 21st overall.
Yeah.
That's a great place to take a cornerback, or 2nd, 3rd, or maybe even 4th round. Excuse me, guys. You just don't need a top 10 pick to accomplish what you need to accomplish there. So it's a compliment to Surtain. Now, let me go back to you guys. All right, just for the sake of argument, what do you think the value of Patrick Surtain is right now? What do you think you can get for him?
I think you could get probably a 1st and a 2nd. I don't know that anybody's given up what the Rams gave up for Ramsey.
All right, then, like I said, my whole article supposes you could get a deal equal or better than what the Rams gave up for Ramsey. I mean, everything I wrote was based on that. If you can't get that, forget it. All I've been told is generational player, best cornerback in the league, and the best comparable is Ramsey. So I think that is the best comparable, especially in their second seasons. Look what they both did in their second seasons.
Well, and let me ask you this, right? You got to find a team that thinks, hey, we're a corner away from being a great defense or competing for a Super Bowl like the Rams. The Rams were in, hey, we're in a championship mode here at the time they made that deal. So Philadelphia, if Darius Slay leaves, they're going to need a corner. They have the 10th pick and the 30th pick. Would they give you both those picks for Pat Surtain? My guess is no.
Well, okay, then don't do the deal. But the basis of my whole article is that it's worth something. By the way, I'm not interested in this year's draft either. I'm interested in 2024. So I would go to the Texans, who are inevitably, I don't know if you guys saw the news on the Texans, but they may be in on the bidding for Jimmy Garoppolo, which shocked me because that tells you how they feel about C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. So if they go with Jimmy Garoppolo, that means they're going to use their 2nd pick either to trade back or to get up like Will Anderson, a pass rusher, that sort of deal. I would go to the Texans and say, hey, let's talk about 2024 and beyond. Now, let me ask you guys this. If you're the Texans, say they do get Jimmy Garoppolo and they do get, say, a pass rusher, Will Anderson or a pass rusher, how would you also like to have Patrick Surtain on your team this year too? And all you have to do is give away next year's, whatever your top 10, whatever your 1st round pick is there.
I'm sure DeMeco Ryans would love to have him on his defense, but I just don't know that a team that, even if they make those moves, do the Texans think they're a playoff team next year? I'm guessing no, unless they're delusional.
But that's why Surtain's value is so high right now, with 3 years left on his deal. When Ramsey got dealt, it was midway through his 4th year, and the Rams had to do a big deal with him right away. It would be unbelievable to get Patrick Surtain with 3 years left on a rookie contract. Listen, I know the possibilities of this happening are right up there with me dunking a basketball, 0. I mean, I get it. But I want to put the thought at least in people's head that you got to really figure out what you're doing here, guys. And Broncos management has to figure out how they really feel about Russ and what's going on. And you got to look ahead to 2025, guys. It is daunting what you're going to owe Russell Wilson. And if you just commit to him and you still don't have a quarterback, while Caleb Williams and Drake May are just going to somebody else, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
They're not going to tank. They're just not, which is what you're basically wanting them to do. But they're not going to tank. They didn't trade a first-round pick and pay Sean Payton $18 million a year, whatever it is, to tank for next year's draft. It's just not going to happen. Russell Wilson has to be the answer. Otherwise, this team is out of luck until 2026. They just are. Like that. The money they have dedicated to him or committed to him is just so overwhelming. He has to be the answer. There's no other option for this team. Otherwise,
there's options, and I bring them up. Nobody likes them. Nobody likes the options because they're really hard to deal with. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but
$40 million of dead cap over 2 seasons, 2 different seasons. 24 and 25. They're just not.
And you'll probably be exactly
not to play.
You'll be exactly where the Chicago Bears are 2 years. They had to suck it up. They had to suck it up with Justin Fields. Dan Orlovsky on ESPN said Justin Fields will have MVP-like seasons from now on because of how much salary cap room they have in the draft picks. But it took a terrible, terrible season in his second year to get Fields like that. I know it's suffering.
Yeah. And you know what you do when you're going to do that? You hire Matt Eberflus to be your coach. You don't hire Sean Payton.
All right, well, we'll see how it goes. But a note, though, the Broncos did not.
I've got breaking news, D-Mac.
Okay.
Don Graziano from ESPN reporting sources with multiple teams believe the Broncos could trade a wide receiver. Denver has had talks with teams about Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and KJ Hamler. Teams say the Broncos are asking high prices, not just dumping, but it's not out of the question one of them gets moved.
Also, Ian Rappaport, they're giving Ben Powers a 4-year, $52 million deal with $28.5 million guaranteed. That's a big deal, D-Mac.
That's what Dalton. I'm sure Dalton Reisner would have loved $12 million a year. How's my math on that? More than $12 million a year. Yeah, I'm sure that would have been awesome for Dalton. So yeah, no, that's a huge deal. $12 million. I'm laughing. $12 million a year for a guard. So that's the. I mean, okay, great, awesome. I mean, he must be that guy. I mean, that's their first big move. And also to follow up on what Jake's reporting, and if we could bring James back in at some point. Look at this. The Broncos are kind of doing what I've suggested.
Yeah.
They're just trying to do it with a different player. Unless it's Cortland Sutton. I mean, Cortland Sutton you could get for a 6th-round pick and a bunch of Arby's coupons. I mean, that's not a deal. If the Broncos are doing something significant, it should be Jerry Jeudy, not KJ Hamler. He's injury prone. No, Rachel, if they're doing something significant, it's got to be for a high price value. So it would have to be Jerry Jeudy. He's the best projected player on their team for next year. And that actually makes sense. I mean, that is right in line with what I'm suggesting as well. So, I mean, I'm not against it because you have to give away high value to be able to do something. And, I don't know. Can you get a 1st-round pick for Jerry Jeudy? I think you probably could. I actually think you could. I think a lot of teams would be thrilled to have Jerry Jeudy. And if it's not Jerry Jeudy, then it's just some other, whatever. I mean, frankly, you could probably package Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler for a 1st-round pick, and I would do that. I absolutely would do that.
Okay, so you're only doing that if you don't believe that this team has any chance. Okay, James, do you get rid of Jerry Jeudy in any?
No, he's their best offensive player. What in the world?
That's where, D-Mac, I don't think you can.
In that contract? Fine.
I just can't see it, D-Mac. I can't see a world where the Broncos don't have Jerry Jeudy because then they have nothing.
James is losing his mind. Go ahead, James.
We don't remember those games late in the year when it was Kendall Hinton and Brandon Johnson and Freddie Swain playing wide receiver? I mean, what are we doing here?
Well, you realize I've called Jerry Jeudy the best player on the team, and I've got ridiculed for that too.
He's the best player on their offense.
I think offense means more than defense. So, A2 Brute.
He's in the top. Okay, so he's in the top 10 Broncos for sure. Draymond Jones is in the top 10 Broncos for sure. So you're going to let both those guys leave for what?
I don't know. No, I would guess that the deal's probably more of a.
But hey, we got a guard.
No, I bet you they're not claiming. I bet you that because first of all, that rumor was they're all being considered. I bet you it's some sort of Sutton Hamler package for a fourth rounder or something like that. I would be surprised if they traded Jerry Jeudy, but guys, if you want to just improve your team at some point, you're going to need capital. It is what it is.
Well, okay, hang on. Now, getting rid of Courtland Sutton helps because it frees up money and you can go spend those dollars on somebody more productive.
Yeah.
KJ Hamler doesn't cost him anything against the cap, right? Like he's when he's healthy, he's a pretty good player. So if you package him for a fourth round pick, most fourth round picks are completely worthless. The overvalue of draft choices and the what's behind door number 3 and oh my God, I can't wait to see what we might be able to get is absurd. It's ridiculous. It's the same thing I heard when the Broncos traded Jay Cutler to the Bears and they got 2 first-round picks and everybody was so excited. It's like, well, yeah, it depends on what you turn those into. And when it's Robert Ayers and Alfonso Smith, who never played it down here, it's not all that exciting. So I just am like, man.
Well, hold on. What might be happening is what are some of the big names in free agency for wide receivers right now? Like who out there really, gets you going? Because perhaps that's what's going on. Is they're trying to, unless they're trying to trade, like who else is trying to dump receivers? Who else is in a salary?
Well, if you're going to go get DeAndre Hopkins from the Cardinals, fine. Now you can sell me on it. But we just watched the team that had in the second half of the season had way too many games where their receiving core for Russ was a bunch of guys that quite frankly belonged on practice squads. So you're going to trade away a couple of those guys? Like, it makes no sense. Look,
well, James, they wouldn't be doing this deal unless they had an idea of somebody else. It wouldn't be.
You have more confidence in George Payton than I do.
All right, wait, here's Jake.
Andrew Beck is signing with the Houston Texans, so no more Andrew Beck in a Denver Broncos uniform.
Oh, man. Peace out, Andrew Beck.
Hey, he was sneaky good, guys. And the I'm surprised at his.
Okay, well, your favorite Andrew Beck play. Let's reminisce in the Andrew Beck era.
One of those guys who could block and play fullback and was also a tight end. I hate fullbacks in general because they're not versatile enough. He was one of those rare guys. He was like a real pure H-back who could do both. He had value. He did. And he didn't cost you a ton of money, but that's not an easy guy to find.
I'm sure if you want to run the ball, turning will be out of control today for Andrew Beck leaving.
I'm telling you, he was a nice. Wow, I'm really surprised by that. He was like a little Swiss Army knife. He could do a lot of different things and do them well. That's a loss for the Broncos right there.
All right, I really quickly, Jim, because I know we do have to lose you eventually, but the Denver Nuggets, I know people want to hear your rant on Michael Malone and how you don't think this team can win a championship. Is that a correct statement to say under Michael Malone?
Yeah. They're not getting out of the second round with Michael Malone. They're not. He's a disaster. He yesterday was just the latest example, and it was so egregious. Most people finally noticed, and most people finally said, oh, maybe the guy we've been telling him what a jerk he is onto something. So he's asleep at the wheel. Michael Porter Jr. comes out. It's an 83-80 game with 4:39 to play in the third quarter. He attempts to put him back in with 4:39 left in the fourth quarter. 12 full minutes, an entire quarter. Then, because the backups finally go on a little bit of a run after taking a 3-point lead and turn it into our deficit and turn it into 14, he keeps them all in there, right? Like, let's keep Bruce Brown in there, even though Bruce Brown's been terrible for the last 2 weeks, and brings Michael Porter Jr. back to the bench, and he sits out for 16 minutes and 16 seconds total. Your second best player, with Jamal Murray out, your second best player is sitting on the bench. So that's the first problem. It's a tactical in the game. The second problem is, and nobody wanted to hear this when I said, hey, maybe the adult in the room should have been the one to communicate with Bones Highland and mend that relationship and make sure the young player understood it. Nobody wanted to listen when I said, hey, Michael Malone is my way or the highway kind of guy. He's old school. He doesn't believe in putting his arm around people and encouraging him that way. Well, now he's caused a rift with Michael Porter Jr., so buckle up, Nuggets fans. This ought to be a fun stretch run here. As the best team in franchise history, the best chance to ever go to the NBA Finals is going to go up in flames because they have a guy who's not a championship caliber coach. Told you. I tried to tell you, and nobody wanted to listen.
Oh, man.
You know what sucks about this, Rachel? I can't really disagree with James.
No, you can't. That's what's horrible.
I'm at the game, and my jaw is just dropped. I mean, and it's ridiculous. And then Malone's excuse after the game was pitiful. And the frustration we know, because, Michael Porter Jr. talked about it in the locker room, was not happy, and nor should it have been. It made no sense at all. I mean, why is there such a short leash on Michael Porter Jr. when these other guys can just be terrible? I mean, it's stunning, James. I'm agreeing with you. Michael Porter Jr. was the only reason the Nuggets with Jokic, okay. But next to Jokic, because you realize Jamal Murray's been terrible for about 5 games in a row now, right? I mean, bad. Okay, I'm glad he broke a record and all, but, I mean, he's been bad. And now he's kind of hurt. Load management, James. Get ready for it. I bet he barely plays on this East Coast trip. But that being said, you've got – and listen, I like Christian Braun. I do. I think he should be playing more. I got it. Bruce Brown was 3 of 10 and 1 for 3. Michael Porter Jr. was 9 of 12 and 3 for 5. There was no logic, and they're like, oh, they got to have a point guard. No, they don't. They have to have somebody to shoot threes. Anybody can dribble the stupid ball up the court and then hang it to Jokic, and we go from there.
No, it was the point guard.
And by the way, we also know, too, just to help you out, Reggie Jackson, nice story. Palmer High School, terrible. Thomas Bryant wasn't even in the rotation. He's Thomas Bryant is so klutzy that I'm stunned. I mean, DeAndre Jordan was pounding beers at the Avs game. I think after 4 or 5 pounded beers by DeAndre Jordan, he'd be a better option than Thomas Bryant. I can't believe how clumsy Thomas Bryant actually is. You blew that one too, because they could have got Mason Plumlee. They should have got Mason Plumlee. And he did get traded. He's on the Clippers now, and we'll see him in the postseason.
They have not replaced Mason Plumlee from the bubble. They have not come up with a reasonable, good option to back Jokic.
Listen, to be fair, Zeke Naji, and I know he's not the same player, but Zeke Naji was playing well, okay? He was. And they do miss him, and he's been out for a long time with a shoulder injury. That being said, you knew he was hurt at the trade deadline, okay? You should have got Mason Plumlee. Should have been a no-brainer. The
double standard that Michael Malone has for players, and he has picked on Michael Porter Jr. since he's been here.
I don't get it.
It's absurd. He had 23 points in 22 minutes and then sat out the rest of the game for 16 minutes, essentially the rest of the game. It's laughably bad. Michael Malone's problem is it's the same reason Gary Kubiak fell in love with Trevor Siemian. He loved a guy that reminded him of himself, right? It's, a 7th-round pick, really good at the whiteboard. Michael Malone loves guys who remind him of himself or what he thinks he is. He thinks he's this scrappy little overachiever, even though he's not. He comes from a basketball family. His dad was a coach, right? But he thinks of himself as this little scrapper. And so he'll play veteran backups, big minutes, and they can go out there and make mistake after mistake after mistake. And Michael Porter Jr., who has superstar potential, he's not one yet, D-Mac, but he has that potential, is constantly having to look over his shoulder, wondering when he's going to get yanked. And anyone who's ever played sports knows that is not a good way to play. Michael Malone yesterday, honestly, was a fireable offense. And if they don't go to the NBA Finals, that guy should be gone. With 4:39 left in the fourth quarter, Michael Porter Jr. is about to check in. And I'm like, all right, it took a little long, but all right, fine. I mean, there's plenty of game left, 4:39. In NBA standards, 4:39 is a lot of time to have an impact. Points are scored quickly. And then he sits him back down on the bench. Yeah. I mean, I was shocked. Absolutely shocked. James, I can't disagree with you on this one, for sure. And I've been supporting Michael Malone the entire year. I just don't get it.
I don't see what he's seeing. I didn't buy the excuse afterwards. And
No.
I do not blame Michael Porter Jr. for being upset. He should be upset. And good for Christian Braun, okay? Got nothing to do with him. But just take out, it's all about this defense thing. It's defense. Nobody plays defense.
No.
Nobody plays defense. Plus, Michael Porter Jr. is 6'10", and what? He's going to be a worse defensive player than Bruce Brown? I mean, give me a break.
They gave up 98 points through 3 quarters. Nobody's playing defense.
Right.
They're a terrible defensive team. Michael Malone is supposedly a defensive-minded coach, and his team plays terrible defense. Last year after the playoffs, he went up there and bellyached about how they have the 16th worst perimeter defense in the playoffs. Like, how can they possibly win? So they go get him guys that can fill those roles, and they're still a terrible defense. But here's the thing. First of all, late in the year, teams are no longer treating trips to Denver as just a scheduled loss, and it's a good time to sit guys down. They went for a long stretch where seemingly every home game, there was a star in street clothes on the other bench, and the Nuggets got free wins, so that inflated their record. And teams are actually, it's more like playoff basketball now. They're actually, hey, what's the plan? How are we going to attack this team? And Michael Malone has no answers for any of it. Right? What the Nets did to Jokic in the third quarter, he had no answer for that. None. D-Mac, the third quarter was what, like 38-17?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a joke. Did Michael Malone call a timeout at any point? And, hey, they're doubling Jokic as soon as he gets the ball. Here's our answer. Here's our adjustment. Of course not. He just sits there on his big elevated padded chair like he's the king and does nothing.
I'll give you one more. Last one, quick one. When they took Michael Porter Jr. out, they were down by 3. At the end of the quarter, they were down by 11. Okay, what are we doing here? Yeah. I mean, how about, I'll give you another example. So, Jared Bednar was upset with Mikko Rantanen because he was behaving poorly and getting in trouble with refs. He didn't bench him, although he thought about it. He didn't bench him because he said at the end of the day, the talent and benefit of Mikko Rantanen is worth more on the ice than me trying to bench him. So I talked to him, made sure we were straight with things, and I played him. In the next game, Mikko Rantanen got boarded, could have caused all sorts of problems, kept his cool, collected a puck, scored a goal, 3-0 against the Sharks. They won that game relatively easily. So it took a little communication. I'm with you here, James. It took a little communication with one of your better players just to straighten things out. If you're upset with Michael Porter Jr., take him out for a little bit, talk to him about it, tell him you're going to go back in the game, and put him back in the game. You can't bench your second best player. You cannot do it.
When he's playing well. Like, what did he do to warrant getting benched? Like, nothing.
He was going to score 8. He was going to score 40 points in that game.
He was, and he didn't get benched. He didn't. Michael Malone just forgot to put him back in. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, we're hot with my scrappy little backup. So let's keep riding it." He just has brain lock. And
then here's what you humiliated him by putting him at the scorer's table to check in, and that is, you cannot do that. That is humiliating. That is embarrassing, and everybody sees it. You can't do it. I wrote all about it at denversports.com. Congratulations. The Homer wrote about it. You can read about it at denversports.com.
All right, Jake, what you got?
Former Raiders quarterback Jared Stidham is signing a 2-year, $10 million deal with the Denver Broncos, choosing to play for Sean Payton over other options, Ian Rappaport reports. The deal, which includes a $5 million guarantee and $4 million more in upside, reunites Stidham with Webb, who he has known since a teenager.
Wow!
Jake, thank you so much for that information. Look at James.
All right, we've got a left guard, and if everything goes well, won't play a single play. Awesome.
Wait, how much money?
$10 million.
$10 million.
10 million.
2 years.
For 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
5? Okay, wow. So Brett Rippon was a restricted free agent. It was going to cost them like
2.84.
Okay, which is on the high side for that.
Yep.
Where they could have signed, I think Trevor Siemian makes like $1 million a year. There's guys like that. So they double the salary of the backup quarterback? Oh, and this is Jared Stidham is a big time Mike Evans khaki pants guy. He is the epitome of khaki. This is going to be doing. I mean, this is a terrible move, obviously, but Mike Evans is going to be doing happy dances throughout. Wow, that tells you everything. All right, forget about trading Patrick Surtain because the future after Russell Wilson is Jarrett Stidham. Holy cow. That is crazy.
I will say this.
That is nuts.
You and I we had the conversation last week on the drive, about backup quarterback. I think your backup quarterback has to be a guy, and we saw prime examples of this past year, right? When Russ got dinged at the end of the Chiefs game here, it was essentially 34-28. It was 34-21, but they were at the 2-yard line, and then Rippon got him in the end zone. They got the ball back twice in that game, late, and ran 6 plays, couldn't move the football. You have to have somebody who can come in and be productive if Russ gets dinged. And then you have to have a guy that if he has to play a game here and there, like against the Jets, can actually win a game. Okay, Jarrett Stidham is better than Brett Rippon in those.
Dude, but that's Teddy Bridgewater for $2 million a year.
Fine. Agreed. You need
this is all right. Now we know. Actually, I'm happy about it and unhappy about it at the same exact time because there's obviously doubts about Russell Wilson. You did not have to spend this much money on a backup just for a game or two. You could have brought in Teddy Bridgewater, who's worked with Peyton before. Davis Webb. That's interesting about Davis Webb. Like he had some sort of influence on Jarrett Stidham. Stidham, a 4th-round pick for the Patriots, out of Auburn, I believe. And he is khaki pants all the way. He's the khaki pantser right there. So Russell Wilson gets to compete against himself. That is beautiful.
Boy, the Raiders better have themselves a plan, right?
They said Jimmy Garoppolo.
They did sign him, or they said that?
It's been reported. Yeah. It has not been official, but we all know how those talks go. So
better have a plan because
they can. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Jimmy's about to cash in. He's about to get like 35 to 40, something like that. Big time money. And let's not forget about Lamar Jackson too. Okay, let's not forget about Lamar Jackson. For 2 firsts and $35 million, you can have him. And, that's out there as well.
Jarrett Stidham actually looked pretty good in those 2 games he filled in for Derek Carr at the end of the year. He's not a bad player.
No, of course not. No.
It's just a terrible plan.
Like, he's not a bad player. Well, no, James, I agree with you. This is a terrible plan. Terrible. This is like bonkers. It's not setting yourself up to get Caleb Williams or Drake May next year. And it's putting all this absurd faith in what a genius Sean Payton is. And Russ doesn't cost a lot of money this year. That's true. It's only $22 million this year and another $5, but he's making $35 next year. Yeah. So, this is insane what they just did. I'm loving it. It's just crazy.
Okay, so again, their priorities so far have been left guard and backup quarterback.
You got to have both of those positions, I guess. $5 million for a backup quarterback?
All right, James. I know we got to let you go, so as always,
all right, so again, I had the bad idea, huh? I had the bad idea. Okay, just checking, because this is great. This is wonderful.
This is D-Mac's dream right there, James.
It's so dumb.
All right, James Merilatt, there he goes. What's interesting though is we still haven't heard anything about Draymond Jones, D-Mac.
Well, he's gone. He'll just listen. If he was going to be back with the Broncos, he'd be back with the Broncos, Rach. There was an article today from Mary Cabot. I think there's a third name in there somewhere. She's a longtime beat reporter with the Browns. Draymond went to Ohio State. He's a Cleveland guy. Do not be surprised if he ends up with the Browns. That was kind of the rumor this morning. Sometimes these deals just take time. Like Von Miller took forever last year, so I wouldn't look into it. He's gone. That's what I would look into. He's gone. If we haven't heard anything by now, frankly, and he's going to get offers on the open market, and there's rumors about Cleveland, Draymond's gone. Period. The end. He's not coming back here. If he was coming back here, it would have already happened and happened quickly. As soon as he doesn't want to be here anymore, rightfully so. He doesn't like how he was treated. He didn't like the situation. And you put on that he could go home. That's appealing for some guys. There are some people, believe it or not, Rachel, who actually like Ohio and Cleveland. He's probably one of them. So he'll go there. They'll love him there. He's an Ohio State guy. He's a Buckeye. He'll be a hero with the Browns for going there. He'll love it. He'll have a great time.
Who will have a better season next year?
What's that? Sorry.
Who will have a better season next year, the Browns or the Broncos?
Well, the Browns will, Rachel. They got Deshaun Watson, who's a elite quarterback, and now they'll have Draymond Jones and a bunch of other good guys. No, I mean the Browns. The Browns have a better quarterback and a better team. They play in a tough division, but maybe that division is without Lamar Jackson. And Kenny Pickett's kind of, a second-year guy there with the Steelers. No, the Browns are going to be pretty good next year. And don't forget they got Myles Garrett, who might be the best defensive player in the league. And you put him alongside of Draymond Jones? What, that's not appealing? I mean, no offense to Baron Browning or Randy Gregory, but I mean, come on. I mean, Myles Garrett is 10,000 times better than those two guys.
What other moves do you think we're going to see out of the Broncos today, if any? What is the little DMAC booty
right? They're probably going to go. Well, they just went big money at guard.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess they'll go
big money.
I guess they'll go big money at right tackle as well, and or medium money. And that McGarry guy out of Atlanta, to me, kind of fits Bill. I know Juwan Taylor. People are like, oh, but I think it's probably.
Can you for me one more time?
So I think they'll get a right tackle. I think so. Backup quarterback. That's so funny. Backup quarterback, left guard, right tackle, and maybe another offensive lineman, a lower level offensive lineman. Although this is usually big money time. So actually, this is only to answer your question. Because this is big time money here. We're going to hear about, a right tackle and probably a receiver, Rachel. If these rumors are right about the Broncos trying to make a deal, they wouldn't be doing a deal without their eyes on another receiver.
Yeah.
So probably receiver and a right tackle. Let's stay around. It's going to be interesting.
See, that's what my next question essentially was going to be, is Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler.
Oh, I have your answer.
Who?
According to Diana Rossini of ESPN, the Denver Broncos are in on right tackle Mike McGlinchey.
Oh, okay. All right.
I thought you were telling me receiver news, but okay. So they're filling the line. That's what we all wanted.
McGlinchey is a step up from McGarry.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big-time move.
Yeah.
McGlinchey was a stud left tackle at Notre Dame. He went over to right tackle because the Niners got Trent Williams.
Yep.
He is – my guy Derek Wolfe said that he's a little soft, actually. Wolf has gone against McGlinchey and, says he's a little soft.
And Jake did say they're just in on it. It's not a done deal. So they are just in.
Oh, I'm confused. What's the difference?
So it's not a done deal. They're being one of the teams that is approaching the situation for him.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So if it's not McGlinchey, it'll be McGarry. As long as it's a mix. Listen, Rachel, the more mix you can have on the team,
the better.
Anytime you have a capital letter followed by a lowercase letter, followed by another capital letter, you're doing all right. Or you could have a capital letter with a apostrophe and another capital letter.
Gotcha.
Those are good. Or you could have a capital letter, two lowercase letters, and another capital letter. Listen, if you are a McKinnon, an O'Hare, a McKee, you're fine by me. O'Flynn. I love all those people.
I bet you do. I'm reading the comments to see what people are saying. George Payton wants to make sure to solidify that he doesn't belong so far today. Ouch from Clint. I mean, you all know how I feel about George Payton. He's probably number one in my book. Has he impressed you with what he's done so far today, D-Mac? What grade would you give him?
The quarterback thing is a riot.
I never saw that one coming.
There's no way that's a George Payton move. No way. That is got to be a Sean Payton move. Got to be a Sean Payton move. There's no way George Payton would want that.
Why do you say that? Oh,
Oh, Jake?
I've got, this isn't Broncos news, but this is going to be the biggest deal of the day, probably. Javon Hargrave, really good defensive lineman from the Philadelphia Eagles, is signing a 4-year, $84 million deal with the San Francisco 49ers, adding to that absolutely loaded roster.
Wow.
holy smokes.
Monster.
That's a huge deal. Man, the money
Monster.
is that. Holy smokes.
Monster.
Wow. I thought it was going to be Aaron Rodgers news. That's what I thought he was jumping on. The
That'll be the next big one to come. That's a big one, though, for sure. The Rodgers one will top that. But that's a huge deal. So the Niners, wow, holy cow. They don't know who their quarterback's going to be, but, they've got a heck of a team, no doubt about it.
What do you feel if Jimmy G does join AFC?
I'm right back. Diana Rossini reporting Mike McGlinchey is expected to sign with the Denver Broncos.
Boom.
I think McGlinchey was probably one of the top 4 possibilities. We don't have any numbers, do we, Jake? Probably not quite.
So not yet.
Mike McGlinchey. Okay. Do you want the positives or the negatives with McGlinchey?
Let's do the negatives so then we can get to the positives and end the show on a good note.
Okay. The negatives are he's a bit of a turnstile and he's a little soft for his size. He's huge. Rachel, this is a large man, no doubt about it. But he has a hard time holding up sometimes with his footwork and his mechanics on the rush. He's a better pass, rather. He's a better run blocker than pass blocker, and he is a guy who was moved from left to right tackle. So you have the red flag here, Rachel, is that he's not injury prone like Juwan James, but it's just kind of like, just not that good. Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane sort of dude. Okay, that's the potential red flag. That it's not injuries. It's just that there's not like a dog in Mike McGlinchey. Okay, the upside is you're getting somebody who is healthy, relatively, as most guys are, relatively young, and you don't have to be a superstar on the right side like you do on the left side. It's just a little bit different. And with a run-heavy attack that the Broncos are expected to have, could make a lot of sense. He's a big, massive dude, and in terms of him just moving forward, okay. It's with him backing up, you get a little bit, nervous. So overall, it's got to be a big money deal. So I'm going to guess that one. I'm going to guess they're basically done with their. I mean, he's going to be, golly, man, 17, 18, I would guess.
So McGlinchey, Andrew Mason puts, this could prevent the Broncos from getting a commissary pick if Draymond Jones leaves, but it has potential to stop the turnstile at the O-line.
Possibly, but we've been yes, but we've been saying that about right tackles for the past decade.
Yeah.
I mean, Menelik Watson and Juwan James and Jared Valdir and I think I could go on and on about guys that, we thought we'd get 4 or 5 years and you get nothing. Yeah. Listen, I'm not trying to put bad juju on Mike McGlinchey. He is a Mick. I like that. So on the surface, it looks really good. It's going to be expensive, though, for sure. So, and because you could have gone cheaper with McGarry. I promise you that. You could have gone cheaper, and that's what I thought they were going to do. So going right tackle, left guard, backup quarterback, that's a busy-ass day for the Broncos. Yeah. And it does address all the positions, positions of need. It does, and it's some big money that was just spent.
What about running back?
I told you, running back, who cares? Running back you can take care of after all the flurry of free agency.
Did you draft a running back?
You could, sure. Yeah, you always draft a running back. Or you pick one up, Rachel, in, undrafted free agents or whatever. I mean, Latavius Murray played twice in England for 2 different teams, and he was pretty good, for the Broncos. And you could always sign Latavius Murray to a veteran contract. I'm not worried about running back whatsoever. Just let that shake itself out. I mean, why spend money on running back? You're spending $5 million a year on a backup quarterback. I mean,
That is the most surprising one that has come, just because nobody linked him to the Broncos at all. I
I
mean,
just,
26 years old.
I'm laughing because, on one hand, I think it's, I don't believe in Russ. So,
Yeah.
like, if you don't believe in Russ, you've got to have a better option.
But
I'm
you
just
believe in
laughing
Jarrett
that
Stidham?
this is the better option.
Do you believe in Jarrett Stidham?
No, of course not.
So then, yeah, what are we doing here?
Yeah, he's a pure khaki pants, bounce around sort of guy. But this, Rachel, here's what we're doing here.
That hurts.
Sean, listen, one of the reasons we love Sean Payton is because he's an arrogant dude, okay? And I'm not trying to say that in a negative way.
Okay.
Let me say it differently. He is a very confident coach in his ability to get the most out of players.
Yes.
They have never gone with a big-time drafted quarterback in the Saints. They're huge on reclamation projects. Drew Brees was a reclamation project. Jameis Winston was a reclamation project. Teddy Bridgewater was a reclamation project. This is Sean Payton is right there with our guy Mike Evans. He's right there, and that fits George Payton well. But the fact that they're signing Stidham to $5 million per year rather than spend some money on a running back, you could have done that, absolutely. And you decide to go with a backup quarterback, They're preparing for life without Russ. They are. And we'll see how it works out, but we can I should rewrite my article about Patrick Surtain. It's done. It's over. It's just
retweet it and say never mind.
I headline never mind. Because they're clearly, no matter what, not drafting a quarterback anytime soon. Maybe, Rachel, they may take somebody in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. They'd be smart to do so. They should.
Yeah.
They should take and listen, if they're smart, that's exactly what they'll do in this year's draft. But the plan, if Stidham is young, and for quarterbacks, he's
26.
dirt cheap. But for a backup quarterback, you were paying 2.8 for Brett Rippon. You could have paid a lot less for Teddy Bridgewater. You're making a statement right now.
Is he an upgrade over Rippon, though?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Jarrett Stidham is a legit NFL quality quarterback. Yeah, he's had good moments in games.
I'd give him a C-, but he is young, which I'll give him a C-.
Well, he's on his third team. He's on his third team now. He's played in real NFL games and has Jake.
You guys ready for the report on the deal with McGlinchey?
Can I guess?
I was gonna say.
Go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Hold on, let me do some math. I'm gonna go 4-year deal, $80 million with 35 guaranteed, something like that.
I was gonna say 3 years, 65.
Ian Rappaport reporting McGlinchey, the right tackle, has been signed to a massive 5-year deal worth $87.5 million with $50 million guaranteed.
Well,
Oh,
I was a little close. So 5 and 87. I said 4 and 80. So actually, he's a little bit less than I thought, but more guaranteed money than I thought. I said 35. He said 50, 87. Oh, Jake, do we know the signing bonus? That's always a big one. But but it's guaranteed money, so it's $50 million guaranteed. Yeah, he's your guy. He's your guy. Him and Garrett Bowles are your guys.
he's kind of older though, isn't he? How old is he?
McGlinchey, no, he's in his 20s.
Okay.
He's in his 20s. He was drafted by the 49ers to start with. It's just that he didn't work out at left tackle, and they got Trent Williams. No, I'd say McGlinchey's probably
I'm Googling it.
27, something like that. What is he?
28.
28. All right.
Yep. So, okay. For some reason,
Notre Dame guy there. Notre Dame guy there, Rachel. So,
Okay. Fighting Irish, Interesting. They're spending a lot of money, D-Mac. What if this fails? You've already spent a lot of money with Russ. You're looking long term. What if this
what if it fails is you go with Jarrett Stidham and you coach him up? Coach up Jarrett Stidham. He's your future.
Also, do these contracts, because they're doing longer, do these tell you it's not a championship window right now? And
no. Well, it's no. It's they're playing it out. Like they're playing it out, but they're giving themselves a little bit of a backup with Stidham. Okay, but this, I mean, here's the problem.
Plan?
What's that?
Is Stidham going to be the game plan?
He's the backup plan, and he will be for 2 years. And so if he doesn't work out, Rachel, golly, man, if a lot is riding on Jarrett Stidham.
I know.
A lot is riding on Jarrett Stidham. So
I'm going to look up his stats from those 2 games with the Raiders. Hold on. Also, I have to make sure that I don't call him Jared, and it's Jarrett.
Jarrett Stidham.
All right. Stats real quick. 656 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 89.2 rating.
How many games?
Hold. 2 starts.
2 starts.
2 starts.
$5 million
I know.
a year.
I know. I'm looking.
Wow.
So he did have the game against the 49ers, which went into OT. He was 23 for 34, and then he also has the loss against the Chiefs, 31-13. He took 6 sacks in that game against the Chiefs.
Yeah, $5 million.
Oh my God. D-Mac, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 3 games that he played in, he played against the Saints. His QBR was 43.4. Against the 49ers, it was 77.9. And against the Chiefs, it was 29.6. So you're right. Sean Payton must like those. I'm going to bring you up to speed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is such, like, this is not a George Payton deal. It's a Sean. But that's all right. The coach gets the biggest quarterbacks. I'm more than fine with it. And they're spending big money on a big tackle and a guard. And, we'll see what they do at center.
Does he stay with the Saints?
What's that?
Where's Winston go? Does he stay with the Saints?
It looked like, I forget what exactly was going on with him. I thought he was trying to get out of there, or I think he was trying to, I don't know. Kind of, I don't know. I don't care. Now.
I really had him coming to the Broncos, so.
Well.
Interesting.
Bye. All right, I'll give you the upside with Stidham, okay? First of all, he's younger, and he's cheaper, actually, than Jameis Winston. And, I mean, this guy is, essentially injury-free. And, it's okay. I'm just laughing because there's so many cheaper ways they could have gone. That's all. I mean, $5 million for a backup really isn't that bad. It's not that big of a deal. And I've spoken forever, Rachel, about having a certain budget in your quarterback room. Like, you shouldn't go cheap there. And I just put it at, you want your budget in your quarterback room to be like 18 to 20% of your overall. It's that important of a position. Yeah. So I really don't have a problem spending that kind of money. I'm just laughing at, all this we love Russ stuff. I mean, clearly they don't love Russ. I mean, they may like him, but I mean, when Matthew Berry put out there that he heard it was a 1-year tryout for Russell Wilson, he ain't lying. Here we go. We got it here. And like we pointed out, and Mace pointed out at denversports.com, you got to secure 5 days after the league year next year his 2025 salary, which is $55.4 million.
Yeah.
So you got to give yourself some options. And I bet you they draft somebody too. And then, let's see how things go with Russ. Russ is going to get all the shots in the world, Rachel. It's still about winning with Russ. And you're only on the hook for 2 years with Stidham. So, I mean, if Russell Wilson works out, I mean, he could probably cut Stidham. I doubt his second year is even guaranteed. So it's not like that big of a deal. It just does show me that there's feelings about Russ that are just not,
100%.
That's right.
Yep. Okay. Well, people are saying you guys are harping on the backup QB. They just got a lot better on the O-line. How much better did they get, D-Mac?
They got, you didn't even have a right tackle. So you did better there by default. And you did get one of the, the top dudes. You did. There were cheaper ways to go in that department too. There's a couple little red flags with McGlinchey in terms of giving up the pass rush. But as a run blocker, not any complaints whatsoever. You got better there. You got way better there. and let's just hope we can have a right tackle that sticks.
Okay.
Guards, I don't know. I'll take your word for it. You're paying $12 million a year for a guard now. Okay. I mean, you didn't like Dalton Risner, pretty harsh, right? But we'll see where Dalton winds up. So, okay, I'd say you did well. I mean, you spent big money on your offensive line, which we said they should do, and yeah, you did all right. I mean, Rachel, they're gonna run the ball. Yeah. I mean, it is clear as day that they are gonna pound the rock this year and just simplify things for Russell Wilson. No more. I mean, they're gonna have like 5 plays for Russell Wilson. No more State of the Unions. The next interesting thing to really keep an eye on is what they do at wide receiver to see if they make a deal with that or not today. That's going to be really interesting.
Okay, we're going to stay on this offensive line, how they're going to run the ball. Javonte doesn't come back. That's a big if. We're not sure. It depends on who you believe, Matthew Berry, and if you think he's going to come back week 1, if it's going to be a few weeks, or if he doesn't play at all next season. Latavius Murray, is he coming back?
You could just sign him for $1 million.
Okay. Otherwise, what's their game plan for running back?
It doesn't matter. They'll find somebody. I mean, it's just not. They'll probably draft somebody, probably in the 4th or 5th round, which would be a good draft pick. You should always be thinking about drafting mid-round running backs. That's a good idea.
But you don't think they're going to go for a big name?
No, I don't. I mean, listen, is David Montgomery a big name? I mean, maybe. If it's somebody like that. You don't have to do that. I'm not really worried about it. Javonte will come back at some point, Rachel. I do believe he'll come back, and hopefully he'll be effective. I'm not worried.
If Javonte hadn't been the running back that was carrying guys left and right and adding yardage, would people have rated him so highly?
No, I mean, he deserved all the attention he got. He was awesome when he was healthy. It's a big loss for sure. But again, like Rachel, they moved up in a 2nd round for him. It's like, I get it. He's a really good player, but again, that kills you because it's such a high value pick. I mean, 2nd round, you can get D linemen and linebackers and wide receivers. I mean, you can get so many other more important positions. So it's not to denigrate Javonte Williams. It's just that he's in a precarious position. These guys get hurt all the time, and to spend 2nd round capital is just like, wow, man. It's just such a risky move. You're rolling the dice. So, I mean, be smart on this. Draft a guy in the 4th or 5th round where you should. You got 2 third-round picks now to have some fun with. You could draft a running back maybe in the 3rd round. You get a really good one if you draft him in the 3rd round. I mean, you got guard and tackle, so maybe your mind's not with drafting a guard or a tackle. So maybe we could look there. Wide receiver, you could pick up a dynamic wide receiver in the 3rd round, for sure. There's good players to be had there. That's why drafting a quarterback in the 3rd round is stupid. It's dumb, because there's so many other high-quality players, real starters, that are available then. No, I'm finding myself kind of excited for this. I mean, I'm laughing because it's hardly like we believe in Russ, but, it's building towards a better future. So that's cool. And they're going to run the heck out of the ball, and they're definitely not letting Russ cook. They just sank 18 or whatever million at right tackle, 12 per at left. They got Garrett Bowles still on a big-time contract. Quinn Miners is on his rookie deal, and we'll see what they do at center. They may make another move at center before the day is over, too.
Okay. Which wide receiver, let me rephrase this. Is a wide receiver of the Denver Broncos gone by the end of the day?
Yes. I don't think there'd be this much smoke if there wasn't some fire. We know that they're trying to trade Courtland Sutton, who is, boy, is he in his feelings. Wah, I want to go somewhere appreciated. He got paid $30 million over the past 2 years. Wah, nobody loves me. Wah, give me a break. Give me a break, Courtland. I just want to be appreciated.
Oh, my gosh.
Give me a break, dude. I mean, you want to talk about soft. I mean, that is Charmin soft, man. It's a business, dude. And you just got paid $30 million for 2 years? Man, nobody likes me.
Gee, thanks,
George. Give me a break. Can you imagine driving a truck or breaking rocks or, doing a real job, and you got to hear about Courtland Sutton talking about people don't like him? Okay, Cortland, I got it. Nobody likes you. Hey, how about this? Why don't you be on the teardown crew at Ball Arena, changing the game over from hockey to basketball? Let's see how much you're appreciated there. Working at midnight, cleaning up garbage, and taking floors up and down. I see that all the time.
I appreciate those people, though, because they work
I do.
really freaking hard.
Okay, here are people that work hard. I got it right here. Like, I am never, ever going to complain about my job ever, period, ever.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing what these people are doing, and I got all the admiration in the world for it.
Yep.
Nobody loves me. 30 million.
All
Give
right.
me a break.
I love this.
Golly, man.
I love it. The Avs play the Canadians tonight. D-Mac, who you got? The puck line is Avs -1.5. How do you feel?
Yeah, they got, I think, 4 games in a row on the road. We're going Montreal and Toronto and I think Pittsburgh or something like that in there. 1.5. I guess I'll take the Canadians there. I'll take
Who's
the Canadians.
stressing you out more right now, the Avs or the Nuggets?
Oh, the Nuggets by a mile.
I know.
It's flipped. You know, it was the Avs, and I still have my concerns about the Avs, trust me, but I was just stunned by yesterday and the benching of Michael Porter Jr. in the second half, fourth quarter specifically. I mean, absolutely stunned. Absolutely stunned. Cost them the game. And they've lost 3 in a row. It's the first time since early December they've lost 3 in a row. They have now lost back-to-back games where Jokic has had a triple-double, where they went 25-0 before that. It's the second time all year that they've scored 120 at home and lost. The previous time was an overtime game to the Mavericks. They did have a shot at the buzzer to win the game, and, you know, it wasn't the worst shot in the world. But, I mean, the shot before that was Bruce Brown with a driving floater sort of, you know, mishmash. I mean, you know, with 1:09, Bruce Brown misses a 3. With 9 seconds, he misses a shot. It forces Jokic into a desperation heat from 3. And they did put Michael Porter Jr. back in the game, Rachel, with 20 seconds to just stand on the other side as a distraction. Michael Malone, he screwed that game up yesterday. And that game mattered. They're going on the road for 5 straight where Jamal Murray inevitably is going to miss 2 or 3 of those games. And it was, you just can't give away games like that. I mean, I'm not saying that you're at risk of losing the West and all that, but, like, you got to take the wins when you can get them. And dumping home games to the Bulls, the Spurs on the road, and now that catastrophe. No, I've changed. I'm much more concerned right now about the Nuggets. The Avs kind of find a way. Now, let me tell you something remarkable about the Avs really quick. So in their game on Saturday, do you realize the oh gosh, who they play? Oh, the Coyotes. Rachel, the Coyotes didn't get a shot on net in the third period. They didn't get a shot on net. The Avs outshot them 17-0 in the third period, and they didn't get a shot on net in the overtime. 0 shots on net in the third period. Not a goal. Not a goal. They didn't get a shot on net. And it was hard because the Avs were like, come on. I mean, give me a break. Let's go here. And they played poorly. They played poorly in the first, but they played much better defensively in the second and the third. No shots. I mean, how do you play better than no shots allowed?
Yeah.
So there's something there with the Avs. There's grit there. There's experience there. I mean, we are at gut check time with the Nuggets. I don't know what we're going to find. So right now I feel better about the Avs, but both teams are on the road. Ball Arena is quiet for an entire week.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to get to know my wife again. I hear her name is Kim.
See, I'm still more concerned long-term with the Avalanche than I am the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets will eventually figure it out, but the health of the Avs is just where I'm like, I don't know. I will give Cale Makar, though. I was at a birthday party during the game on Saturday, and the entire place, like, braked out for Cale Makar's OT score. So you got to give him credit. The big names are coming back up for the Avs, which you have.
Rachel, when you were watching that, did you have any deja vu feelings at all? Because you should have.
I didn't. Are you talking about last year?
First round, game 2. Connor Ingram was the goaltender for the Predators when Cale Makar scored in overtime to win game 2 at Ball Arena, which you were at.
I was at. You are correct. Maybe when I was watching the game, I was honestly just like, the way Cale Makar can move the puck is so beautiful. And when you're at the games, DMAC, like when you watch it on TV, you get to see the small movements that they do in order to make those things happen. When you're at the game, you don't necessarily get to see that. So besides the names, I can see your point there of the deja vu, but I was just like so blown away by it's like the precision that he's able to do it with, and you're just like, oh my gosh, Cale Makar. Gotta love him.
I know. Cutie too. My wife. My wife is. It's funny with my wife. She has 2 boyfriends on the Avalanche. Now this will tell you something. Two boyfriends on the Avalanche. She has
Dave Landeskog,
Cale Makar, and Jared Bednar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a crazy. It's a confused woman right there. We're going 2 significantly different directions.
She's not saying she has a type. She's interested in all of it.
They're her 2 boyfriends, which are.
She knows what she wants and she goes for it. You love it.
She's the cutie, the young cutie, and then the James Bond villain character.
All right, though, I missed it. Are you taking the Avs -1.5?
I am not. I'm not. I am going to take the Canadians. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Well, listen, I hope I'm wrong on that. But
fair enough.
Yeah, we'll see. Canadians aren't all that good. It's just that these. You know what? Hold on. All right. Time out.
I'm not taking.
All right. I'll go with the Avs, and I'll give you a reason why I'll go with the Avs. Because I asked Bednar after the game on Saturday, why are you guys so good on the road? Here's a stat, Rachel, believe it or not. The Avalanche have as many road wins, 18, as they do home wins, 18. So they are actually a little bit better on the road than they are at home this year.
That's how they were last year.
I'll take the Avs to cover based off of that. They'll bond together. They'll break some French bread together in Montreal. The oiseau est soif. The bird is thirsty. And they win the game.
And hopefully they continue to get healthy, because that's what that Avalanche team needs. This was a really freaking long show. Of course, huge shout out to Jake for keeping us updated on all the information. And
that was great.
Everybody up to date at denversports.com. I know the guys are writing extremely hard to make sure everything's up to date and super fast, so definitely check it out. Jake, huge thank you to you, to James Merilatt, DMAC, always to you, and to everybody in the comments. We can't do this show without you, so thank you so much for hanging out with us for the last hour and 20 minutes. Holy smokes, it really did go by fast. And we'll be back tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. for another episode of Coffee Break. Have a wonderful Monday, everybody, and hopefully we hear some more big news. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow. Bye.
Oh!
Are you kidding me?
The Raiders are closing in on a deal with Jimmy Garoppolo, sources say, after 6 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers. So there you go, Rachel. There's your sign-off.
That's going to be a monster deal. And as they say at the forum with the Canadians, allons-y! Let's go!
Let's go. Peace out, everybody. Have a wonderful Monday. Bye, everybody.